Everton 2, Manchester United 2, and what was another disgraceful performance by Manchester United for the majority of the game. Only the last 15 minutes or so was decently acceptable. Manchester United, big problems. Ruben Amorim, big problems. We're going to get into the match. We're going to break it down. But just initial thoughts. That was probably one of the worst performances I've ever seen of players wearing a Manchester United kit. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it other than that. I don't even really understand what I watched for 75 to 80 minutes of a match, of a football match. We looked like a bunch of amateurs out there. We looked like we've never kicked the ball. We look like we've never met each other. We look like they just assembled this team match. And we've said these things somewhere along the lines previously. And many of the problems that plagued Erik ten Hag and plagued other managers are still in the current Manchester United team, and there are still problems that Ruben Amorim has to deal with, that Ruben Amorim is going to have to figure out, and that Ruben Amorim is going to have to correct. It's a big task. It's obvious that these problems are they're not simple quick fixes. They are concrete major problems. There's multiple layers to these problems in this squad, in these players, in their mentality, in their attitude, in their application as professional players, as players that play for Manchester United. You know, some of the individual performances, and we usually talk about a team, but some of the individual performances from the players today were absolutely disgraceful. The word that keeps coming to my mind is amateurs. Amateurs. They looked like a bunch of amateurs today. Now, I will give them a little bit of credit because they hung in the game. They kept going. They managed to score 2 goals. We managed to draw the match. And we managed to get a point, but it's more of the same old story yet again. We haven't been able to ever put in a complete performance for 90 minutes. We've never done it. We haven't done it under Ruben Amorim. We were here saying the same things under Erik ten Hag. We couldn't give a complete 90-minute performance for the past 2 years or so. And these are major issues. I really don't understand. More people are probably going to say that Ruben Amorim probably has to change his system, which is really his formation. But I disagree because, again, it just shows that these players cannot play progressive attacking football. They are clueless. They are lost, or they are not good enough. And we need major and big changes at this club. And it is time that this happens. It happens. It is time that this happens now. This is the time for it to happen because it cannot continue. We have made no progress. No progress. We've actually regressed, but we have made no progress from every single manager that has come into this club, that has come with an idea of football, has not been able to implement it. And then try and implement a style of football that benefits the teams, and what have they succeeded? So, there's larger problems, larger scale problems at this football club. We're gonna do a little bit of player ratings as well. We're gonna get into some manager quotes because I want to hear from Ruben Amorim after this absolutely just disgusting performance. I listen. Usually I'll try and take some positives with the negatives. I'll go a little bit on the lighter side, but I'm just not accepting what I saw today from 75 minutes of a football match because we were absolutely amateurish. I think you could have grabbed an under 12s team from anywhere in the world, put them on the pitch, and they would have gave you a better 75 minutes than what we saw from professional players representing Manchester United. I'm absolutely disgusted today. And I probably shouldn't be this disgusted because we've seen them perform how they've performed this season, so it's not really that much of a surprise. But I mean, just some of the things that was happening on the pitch. passes, Onana's goalkeeping, defending, tracking back, marking players, putting in effort, following the ball, making runs, seeing passes. There was none of that. It was absolute garbage. Garbage for 75 minutes of a match. That performance was absolutely unacceptable. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. And we have big issues at this football club. We are drowning week in and week out, and the water is getting higher every single week, whether it's financials, whether it's the performances on the pitch, whether it's players. It's just not good. It's just not good at all. I will ask, before we get more into the match, and get involved in the comments, because I want to hear from you. This isn't about me. This is about the community. This is about the Manchester United fan base. Get involved in the comments. Get your comments in, thoughts, opinions. But please smash the like button, because it helps us out and it pushes us out there. So if you want to support us, we greatly appreciate that. It takes 2 seconds of your time, and it massively helps. And if you're new and you're not a subscriber and you enjoy our content, you enjoy our conversations, or you enjoy our community, then subscribe and make sure you hit the notification bell. But yeah, I mean, listen, Bruno Fernandes, being the captain, scores a good free kick. It was an excellent take, excellent spot, excellent finish. And that was kind of the the little bit of the cavalry. It was a little bit of the pick-me-up that we needed. Now, usually, we have a shit first half. Ruben Amorim has to take them into the dressing room, hold their hand, give them instructions on what to do, of the basics, because they're not doing it on the pitch at that time, which they should be, because they are professionals and they should be adapting as the game goes on, and they can't. They need their hand held every single match. They have to wait to get to the dressing room to correct the basic mistakes and applicate to the match that's going on, which is unacceptable because you're a professional player. Even then, not even at a amateur level, you have the responsibility of, when you are on the pitch, yes, you have a game plan, but when things are being exposed and when things are being working, you have to have the IQ, you have to have the mentality, and you have to have the character to actually, identify that there are certain situations going on the pitch, and we have to take care of that. It is our responsibility. We are the managers on the pitch, and they don't do these things. And usually what happens is we go into halftime, Amorim has to hold each one of their hands and explain to them, what basic mistakes they're doing wrong and make corrections. We come out in the second half and we play a little bit better. And it kind of happened, but we were still, the first half was absolutely atrocious. And the second half didn't really get that much better until we got to the later part of the second half, where Bruno Fernandes scored the goal. And that was kind of a kick up the ass to the rest of the team. And then we really started taking more control. We started applying more pressure. We started playing how we should probably be starting the match from kickoff and grow from there. But we are the opposite. Everything we do is the opposite. Everything we do is backwards at this football club at this current moment in time. And it's just, it's you can't even describe it other than it's just disappointing. It's atrocious, and it's just really negative. You can't say it's surprising. You can't say it's shocking. We've been doing things like this all season. We were doing it last season. We were doing it the season before Erik ten Hag's first season. We did it before Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We did it during Mourinho. We did it during LVG. This has been an ongoing theme. But Grace says, "Come on, Eric, show your dark side." Well, it's not really my dark side. It's just being fair. And I try to keep things positive when you can and when it's applicable. But today, there's just not, there's positives at the end, but the majority of that match and the majority of the player performances was shit. It was just absolutely shit. So you can't sugarcoat it. You cannot sugarcoat it. And at this stage in time where we are in the league, And the performances we're putting in, you cannot be happy with a point. We cannot be celebrating that we drew today, even though we were down to nothing. But you know, the circumstances in which we went down to nothing. You know, the first goal was an absolute joke. Were we playing Brazilian bloody volleyball? I mean, nobody could clear the ball. Nobody can challenge for the ball in the air. Maguire was getting absolutely destroyed in the air today. He might get a 0.5 as a player rating today because, you know, just, I don't know what was going on. De Ligt was shit as well. Maz was going in and out with injuries. He wasn't great. Nobody was great. Nobody was good in any sort of way. You know, so it was really bad. It was really bad. And you know, where do, you know, United season is just, the Premier League. I mean, it just, every time you think that, you know, maybe we'll improve a little bit here and there, maybe we'll get a little bit better, we'll take a small step forward, they managed to somehow just do worse than they did the previous week, and I don't really understand it. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. And Grace says Delo was brilliant. And she also says that Amorim smells, pass it on. Well, again, you know how I feel about the manager and the current situation. I'm here to give him time. I know it doesn't look good, and I know that a manager is responsible for a lot of the major things that go on with the players in the club. But I really do think that the current situation, a lot of the shit is out of his hands. A lot of it is, it's too big of a task for anybody to succeed. It is set up for failure. And we really do need sort of a hard reset. A reset that we're only going to get once the final match of this season is you know, is played, because I do think he needs a preseason. I do think he obviously needs players. He needs different players that fit his system. We need different players regardless, because we need to upgrade. You know, and he needs time. He does need time, and I'm going to give him that time, because I don't think what we're seeing on the pitch is because Ruben Amorim is a bad manager. I think, yes, he's young. I think he's still learning. I think there are certain things maybe that he's making mistakes that he needs to correct. But at the same time, you know, I think that this situation overall that has been created mostly by Ineos, and then the other half is created by the Glazers that, you know, have led this to where the club is over the past 12 years. And if you want to include since they bought the club, over the past, you know, 20 something odd years. I think those things are too great to pin, you know, majority blame on any manager. Again, you know, Sir Jim Ratcliffe once said not too long ago that the environment for a manager to succeed at Manchester United has not been there. And at the time of him speaking, it still wasn't there. And I would say, as speaking right now, it's still not there. So I you know, my focus cannot be, the main focus cannot be on Ruben Amorim at this current moment in time. Lyle is here as well. How are you guys doing? Let me see if I could grab some of the quotes from Ruben Amorim. Ruben Amorim, and I think this sums it up. I think he actually said it better than me, better than what I've said so far. Quote from Ruben Amorim, plain, flat out, simple, and truthful, said, "We didn't exist in the first half." And I think that's brilliant, brilliantly put. We, you know, again, I described it as amateurish. I described it as disgraceful. We looked absolutely just abysmal. Again, I think you could have grabbed an under-12s from any country, any part of the world, put them on the pitch in the first half, and they would have gave us a better performance and a better half than what we saw from professional players that represent Manchester United. It was non-existent. It was non-existent, like Ruben Amorim said. Ruben Amorim asked on fixing the problems in his side, and he said in training we have to continue to do the same. In the second half, we changed nothing. We have to do the same thing, but in a good way. We have to improve on creating chances, and in this game also, we struggle with scoring goals. Well, not just this. I would say to Ruben, not just this game. This has been going on this entire season, last season, even parts of Eric Ten Hag's first season. Although some of the parts of Eric Ten Hag's first season, we were scoring some goals, but it was hit and miss as well at periods. But Ruben Amorim says if you start the game without the first half and losing 2-0, it is a good point. But we need 3 points and we need to win the game. And this is the thing I was thinking about, when we conceded the first goal and even the second goal, and I'm sitting there thinking, yes, we played shit. We were non-existent in the first half. But again, I'm sitting there and I'm like, those things that are happening on the pitch, that we are conceding those 2 goals. Ultimately, yes, at the end of the day, it goes back to Ruben Amorim because he has to figure out how to correct the players' mistakes and stop them from making these types of things. But at the same time, I can't help but think that, that's also the players' responsibility. These sort of things that are happening on the pitch that are leading to us going down and conceding, they own that. They have to own it. They cannot be happening week in, week out. And, if they don't make those mistakes and we don't concede those shitty goals, because those are shit goals to concede, you go into halftime 0-0. Sure, it's not a great performance, but you're not down 2-0 in the first half against Everton when you're 15th in the Premier League fighting for points and desperate. So it's a little bit of a mixture, And Ruben says the worst part is that we are losing the ball without pressure and we are not doing what we need to do. We were soft. I mean, I really, what I want to do is grab Ruben Amorim and put him on the show because I want him to do the show because the things that he's saying it's just spot on. I mean, we are soft. We've questioned the mentality of these players numerous amounts of times, multiple amounts of times. And, he's right, though. He is right. Like, whether you like him, don't like him, hate him, want him sacked, want to give him time, we're losing the ball without pressure. And we're not doing what we need to do. And we are soft. We are soft. We have a weak mentality. We have weak characters in that squad. We don't have leaders. We've spoke about this before as well. Ruben Amorim on United's performances, he said we need to win 3 points and we need to win the whole game. The worst part is we are losing the ball without pressure and we are not doing what we need to do. We were soft. That was the full quote. Ruben says we need to survive this season. That is clear, and then think ahead. I mean, people aren't gonna like that, but that is the hard truth. This is where we are now. We are in survival mode. We are desperately trying to survive the end of the season, and the major problem with that is that it's the end of February. We didn't even get to March. There's a lot of football to be played. We're still in 2 cup competitions. We are far away in terms of football to be talking about we need to survive this season. It's a monumental task. And the way we are playing right now, the way we are performing, it is an absolute mountain that we are trying to climb with no gear, with no help, with no support, no life support. If we make one mistake, if we make one slip up off of this mountain, it's the end. It's the end. So, and we're very far away. So, very concerning things. Very, very concerning things. But I see more of our chat members join. So let me get to them because I want to hear from them. And Grace says, Eric, listen, go to Malta, relax on the beach. No beaches. It's a little bit cold there, but I will be. And enjoy some time off with your family and come back in July. Yeah, I would love nothing more than to take off the rest of the season, but we are dedicated to being here, and we have responsibilities, and we will show up. But I am gonna take a good 2 week break. I think I need it. And this season is one that is not that great, so I don't think I will miss much in the next 2 weeks anyway, although I will miss you guys and our conversations. Chad says some people want to Pickford at United. LOL. Yeah, I was never Pickford's biggest fan. I still don't really like him, and all I will say is, our goalkeeper, you can make an argument he ain't that much better, but I'm also grateful that we don't have Pickford at the same time, because I've never rated him. Lyle says that Young overdid the dive at the end, so VAR rightfully ruled it out. Had he gone down more naturally, then he would have lost. Yes, well, that is a good point to point out. Ashley Young, blatant dive, football heritage style. I mean, VAR did save us at the end, and I guess you could say thank God for VAR, because we were literally about to throw it away, and we've done that more than we've won it at the end, even though we've done a mixture, but, it was a dive. He was looking for it. The way he fell to the ground was completely unnatural for the things that happened. The shirt pulling, you don't fall that way if somebody is pulling your shirt. So it was clearly embellished. I think VAR got it right. Obviously, Everton fans are going to feel like they got robbed, that they deserve the penalty. But I do think that it was the correct decision, and it kind of saved our ass, because instead of, we would have lost the match, and we would have got 0 points. We got 1 point, albeit I still don't think, I'm still not really happy with that. I'm not really taking that, because as Amorim has said in his post-match quotes, we need to win these games. We need 3 points. We're trying to survive this season, so a point isn't good enough. It isn't good enough. So, Chad said, I never watched the game. Who's to blame for the goals? The team, Onana, Onana for the second one. There was one where I don't know why, but he saved it. The ball was in the air, and he lets, whoever it was, he didn't even jump for it. He didn't challenge it. He could have jumped in the air and punched it. He could have challenged the player. He just stood there and let him header it inside our 6-yard box. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what are you doing? You were like a FIFA goalkeeper, in your weekend league, like glitching out, and like it was scripted or something, Grace says Rashford, De Gea, Ronaldo, Sancho are all to blame. Lyle says Maguire and Onana for the first one, everyone for the second, unable to clear our lines. Yes. So that's what I was getting on to. Maguire and Onana for the first one for sure, and everybody else, because they were playing Brazilian volleyball or something, and nobody was able to clear the ball, which was absolutely astonishing. I don't really understand it. So yeah. Who's the soft ones? Say with your brain. The soft ones, just the players that can't perform. Right now, it's just the players that can't perform, that can't step up to the plate, which I think is the majority of the squad. I think the soft ones, I think it's even more of a less of, I mean, I know the individuals make up the team, and I know individually if you're soft and you have more individuals that are soft, obviously it leads to the collective. But my major concern is always more of the team aspect, the team dynamic, and as a team as a whole, we are just soft. We are soft. We are soft mentally. Now we are a strange team, because we are soft in many minutes of the match and in many different aspects, but at the same time, like, we still kind of were trying to fight. We were still kind of in the match, and we still managed to score 2 goals and draw a match that we were losing. So it's like a Jekyll and Hyde type of thing. So it's a little bit confusing, because it's like, all right, you can do a certain part where you show a little bit of strength, a little bit of character. But why are you not able to apply this for 90 minutes? It's very puzzling. How do you actually solve it? Because there's an argument to be made. Well, like, look, they have some characteristics there, because we didn't lose the match 4-0. We came back from a losing position and we drew the match. But why are we unable to do it for 90 minutes? Why is it that we can't be on the front foot? Why can't we start from a strong position? It's weird. You know, maybe we need to send them to therapy. I don't know the answers anymore. I can't tell you. I'm as lost as they were lost in the first half, to be honest. I really am. Lyle says Decore simply jumped past Maguire. Yes, that's who it was. Decore simply jumped past Maguire to head of the ball, but Onana could have attempted another save. No reactions from them. Well, that's the thing. Like, Decore was absolutely destroying Maguire in the air all match. All match. He made Maguire look like he was 5'2". Maguire couldn't, jump over a bloody rock that's the size of a pebble. The way he was jumping, he just looked like completely unathletic in the air compared to Decore. Decore was absolutely destroying him, and Onana, I immediately as I saw it, I was just like, why didn't he jump? You have hands. You can literally extend your fucking arm higher than the person can jump using their head. And he stood there just like this, 30, fucking millimeters away from the guy that's about to head the ball into the net, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna save it. And it was never gonna happen. So I just didn't understand that situation. I didn't understand what was going through his head. Like, you need to jump for that. You need to punch that ball. You need to challenge that player. You got to get in there. Fly in, hit him with your body, punch the ball. Like, you're a goalkeeper. You have protection. You as long as you hit the ball, you're not gonna you're not gonna give up a penalty. Nothing's gonna happen. It's just it's amazing, but not in a positive way. It's amazingly bad. It really is. Gray says you can also blame McTominay, Fred, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Alenga, Malacia, and Greenwood. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I blame the Glazers, obviously, Ineos, and then the players. In that way. Great piece of entertainment this afternoon. I mean, listen, I think if you're not a United fan or you're not an Everton fan, it was a bit of a crazy match. I don't, the quality of the football, I don't really know, but maybe if you're neutral, maybe they enjoyed it. Lyle says Michael Owen is so stupid. He really is. I don't even understand how he's a pundit. Maybe because he's English and his name is Michael Owen, but he really is. Lyle says Michael Owen is stupid. On one hand, you're sure that it's a pen, and yet still goes ahead to admit Young overdid it with a dive, plonker, stolen tweet. Well, I think I get what you're saying. I think what Owen is trying to say is that the grabbing of the shirt in the penalty box would maybe technically be considered a penalty, but that he embellished going to ground, like somebody said earlier, he didn't do it naturally. So I think what he's trying to argue is that the grabbing of the shirt in that manner in the penalty box would probably maybe be given a penalty by VAR, but the fact that he over embellished it made it a non-penalty. I think that's what he's trying to argue, because that's what it sounds like to me. So Grace says she blames us for rating Delo with a smiley face. Fair enough. I will say that one of the things is that, Patrick Dorgu, is maybe one of the few rare positives from today. He offered pace. He, good width. He drew some fouls. Um, but again, I think there's more negatives in that than there is positives because, again, that aspect worries me. Patrick Dorgu is new. Patrick Dorgu has not been at Manchester United for, a period of time. He is fresh. He has come from the Serie A. So the fact that a player that hasn't been here has come here and is performing better than most of our players, yeah, it's a positive for Dorgu, and it's positive in that, like, okay, we signed a player that clearly has some good qualities and he's performing. But the bigger picture is it's very worrying for me because my question is how much longer until he gets sucked into the shit of Manchester United and starts performing bad, because it happens to every single player we've signed for years now. It's happened to Bruno. When Bruno came, Bruno was unstoppable. He was a bit of a revelation. He was what we kind of needed. And at the time, Bruno could do no wrong, and he was doing a lot right, and he was heavy influence. You fast forward down the years, and over time, he's gotten worse from that point. There's many times where he is very bad, where he doesn't do great things, where he has more shit games than he's having good games, and that's the erosion of a shit run football club. That's an erosion of a player over a period of time. What we're seeing from Dorgu is that erosion hasn't hit him yet because he's fresh, he's new. It's too soon for that to happen. But my worrying thing is how long will it take for the erosion of Dorgu to start happening? Because it happens to every single player we bring in, and we have a big problem at this football club. And we need to figure out how to turn that around. We really do. Lion says, in no way was that a penalty, particularly in the appeal. Well, I don't think it was a penalty, and I think VAR got it right. But, Lion says, looking at the grabbing of the shirt twice, mind you, was weak, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't think it was a bit of a tug. I don't think it was a heavy tug. But, there was twice. He was still able to move with full momentum, but he realized the small tugs were there, and he threw himself to the ground. Yeah, and that's why I think that VAR got it right, and I think that they did call it off. So, Bruno saying we have to do much more. Me first. Everyone has to lift standards of each other and end the season in the best way possible. Well, that's what we're hoping for, but I don't know when we're gonna get that. I don't know if we're gonna get that. People bigging up Patrick Dorgu, and I think rightfully so, because he was probably one of the only players we had that was actually of decency. So that actually did something that was decent. But we could do some live player ratings as well. We'll go back to some quotes in a second. Maybe we'll get some other news as well. Oh, okay. Mind. All right. Yeah. Never mind about the player ratings. I don't know what happened to my thing. Maybe we'll circle back around to that. Let's go back to some quotes. Bruno Fernandes saying, results are what count at this club. We have to be aware of our situation, do a lot more. Everyone must try to push each other to finish the season in the best possible way. Amorim talking about the penalty, saying from what he saw, it was light to whistle a penalty. I think a lot of us are in agreement with that. Ruben saying, I don't just want to focus on the negative stuff. The second half was much better and nearly won it. Well, yeah, I mean, again, he's not necessarily wrong. I might argue for the fact that, Ruben, you, your initial comments was the first half we were non-existent. So I get what you're trying to say. I kind of get what you're trying to do, but at the same time, like if we're gonna have a discussion about it and we're gonna have a little bit of a back and forth, and maybe I want to play some devil's advocate. You said that the first half we were non-existent, which I agree. I think everybody agrees with that. Um, so when you say that, you don't want to just focus on the negative, the second half was much better and we nearly won it. Well, I mean, the second half really couldn't get any. It had to be better. It couldn't get any worse because the first half we were just non-existent. So where's the bar? Like the bar is on the floor. So the second half being better isn't really that much of a positive because to use your own words, Ruben, we were non-existent. I mean, you really can't go lower than being non-existent. So, but I do get that. I mean, we nearly won it. We almost nearly lost it as well because, a harder pull, a harder foul in that box, than that shirt pulling, and that would have been an actual penalty. And we most likely probably would have lost it. So. I disagree with Ruben there a little bit. And I think, I'm viewing it in a different aspect. Bruno said, we had to stick to the plan. That's what the manager was very upset with us about. In the second half, we stuck to our idea and played with much more freedom and movement. Well, one of the few positives was that obviously Cheeto got some minutes, got some more minutes than last match. He looks like a player that might have actually something very bright to offer. And I'm looking forward to seeing his involvement more. I think there was a couple moments actually in the second half where he was in good positions, but our teammates, or his teammates, not our teammates, but his teammates, didn't see him or didn't want to give him the ball or didn't try to give him the ball. So that was a little bit of a letdown. I can remember one moment with Xerxes in specific. There was more, but Xerxes could have, kind of chipped it up to him in the air. And I don't know what he did with it. Kicked the ball on the ground or something and went into an Everton defender. When I thought Cheetah was in a very good position. And yeah. So Lion says 2-2, a fair result. I don't know. I kind of don't feel like it is Lions. I don't. Maybe, but at the same time I just feel like again like we weren't there for like 70 minutes of a match. We really like we improved from the first half to the start of the second half, but the second half even that wasn't great until Bruno put the ball in the back of the net. Then we sort of came a little bit to life, like in a more acceptable sense. So, I don't know, but then obviously Everton did start to capitulate a little bit more, and but the grand total of the game, I just think we played a large majority of the game we didn't deserve. We deserve to lose. And we are performing as a team. I mean, I titled this "We Deserve Relegation," and I titled the show as "Disgraceful United Comeback," and not that the comeback was disgraceful, but just that United performed disgracefully, and somehow we managed to make a comeback to 2-2. And I know this is football, but again, like I'm more concerned, about the bigger picture, and the way that we are performing. So and Lyle says, what a cameo from Obi. His hold-up play and movement was so much better. Yes, and we need to see more of them. We need to see more. We need to see more of him. I really do believe that the way forward for Ruben Amorim, and something that's going to help him massively. And I'm not saying it's going to be like a perfect integration. I'm not going to say I'm not saying that it's not going to have its challenges. It's not going to have its setbacks. But I do think that one of the things that Ruben Amorim, that's going to help him, that there is maybe a little bit of light in the darkness, is that these young players, these academy players. I think it's one of his only tools that he has right now for the remainder of the season that is going to provide some type of difference for him, because what I'm seeing from our main starting 11 players, and the lack of depth we have with these experienced players now because of the injuries, I think it's these players. I think it's players like Cheeto. They're hungry. They have something to prove. They have legs. They have energy. They want to fight. They want to fight for the badge, but they also want to fight for themselves. They have something to prove for themselves. And they're grateful. They're grateful. Like they haven't been tarnished from this shit that has been happening at United for this amount of time. Like they are still, I would say, pure. Like they're pure hearted. Like they they've been given this opportunity, and they actually want to do something with it, and they want to fight, and they want to prove, like, not just to themselves but to the club, to the fans, to their family. Like they're trying to seize these opportunities, these moments. And I don't see that from a lot of our other players. I see our experienced players. I see them jaded. I see them down. I see them tarnished. I see them eroded. I see them lacking confidence. But these youth prospects, like they're not in that same category. Now, obviously, the risk that you run is that you destroy them at that age and make them like the rest of our first team. But you know, again, beggars can't be choosers. We don't have a lot of options. Ruben Amorim doesn't have a lot of options. He's struggling. He's trying to do things on the training pitch. The things aren't necessarily improving, and they're not working as quickly as we needed to. And he's at a lack for time. He's you know, and a lack for kind of patience for the situation that we're in. And I think if we get an injection of two or three of these players, listen, you don't have to start them, but use them as super subs. That's what I would be doing. I'd be using them as super subs, and I would be putting two of them, three of them on. Especially when we play like how we did in the first half. I'm dragging off two or three players and I'm putting them on. And go do something for yourself, but also for the club. Because they're hungry, they want it, and we're lacking that, like, everywhere. On the pitch. So, Lyle says, in relation to Lions asking if 2-2 is a fair result, Lyle says, no way. Everton had the game won, but decided to slow down for some stupid reason. Well, I think maybe they got a little bit tired. And also I think that, many teams do this where it gets to a certain point in the game and they try to just manage the game. They don't want to spread themselves too far thin. Obviously, United being down, we obviously have to go for it. So the dynamics of the match is going to shift a little bit, where Everton are going to sit a little bit more back, or take a little bit of their foot off the pedal, and we're going to start pressing the pedal a little bit more, because we are the ones losing. We are the ones that need to score. We are the ones that are trying to get something. So a lot of teams do this. They try to manage the game. They try not to spread themselves too far, too thin in the attack, to, leave themselves exposed if they do lose the ball to a counter attack or something like that. And sometimes, depending on the match, depending on the opposition, sometimes it's better to manage the game and you can close it out, and it works. And sometimes, it's the wrong decision to do that, and you actually need to keep on pressing forward and keep reapplying the pressure to the opposition team. Like Lyle said, that, they had the game won. They decided to slow it down. And they slowed it down because I think they were trying to manage their position. They were trying not to give up a goal. And they gave up one from a free kick, and we applied more pressure. And then once that first one went in, even more pressure mounted on them, and they did crumble a little bit from it. So, Lion saying not having Ahmad is killing United, and Lyle says agreed. No Ahmad, our attack has gone down to zero, and I do agree with you guys, 100%. And I think one of the big reasons why is because Ahmad is clearly one of the players that he is a winger naturally, and when he plays that wing back position, we score goals. Now, maybe it's not a ton of goals, but we score more goals than we're scoring right now, which is almost next to nothing. And we don't have another person like Ahmad that plays in the way that he does, that fits the system of Ruben Amorim's system. And one of the major problems that Amorim has right now is that the defenders playing wing backs is not what he wants to play, and it actually isn't benefiting us. He's done this so that we don't get absolutely 100% just exposed, but we're getting exposed anyway. And I part of the problem why I think is because when you put the defenders as wing backs, we're creating less chances, we're scoring less goals, and it ends up actually doing a reverse of, instead of us being a little bit more solid defensively, we're not threatening enough going forward, and the pressure is actually coming back onto us, and then we are conceding. And one of the things that he needs is he needs his attacking wingbacks. He needs his wingbacks that are going to create chances, that are going to can score some goals, that can apply more pressure on the opposition team. And I only see Ahmad as that sort of player that can play that wingback position to the wingback to what he actually needs it to be. And we don't, Dorgu was there, but he's new and he's learning his role a little bit. And he's not Ahmad. Like I think if we had Ahmad and we had Dorgu playing wingback, I think it would be a little bit different situation. If we had another one or two players that can also, come in and provide a similar type of playing style like that as subs or whatever, a little bit of depth in that area, maybe we would be in a better position. But we are being hurt by not having him, and we are being hurt by not having depth in that in that player characteristics for the style, for the system. So we need to buy another player like that as well in the summer. And here's the thing, like, for stats wise, like Manchester United's last open play goal in a first half came against Forest on November 7th, only creating 0.04 xg in the first half today. Why do we start, and it's just like, why do we start these games so slowly? We did it again today's game. We did it versus Southampton. We did it in the win versus Leicester. We're our team is absolutely appalling for all of those matches until about the 70th minute, and then we finally somehow all of a sudden magically come to life. It's almost like, there was moments and periods of the time during the match today where I'm looking and they're passing the ball, and it's like, you guys are down 2-0. You do fucking realize that, right? Like, it was such a lack of urgency, such a lack of, like, they're passing the ball around like we're winning 2-0. And I'm just like, did they not read the situation that's going on the pitch right now? And then it's like, you get to the 70th minute and something just, like the robots, something just clicks in their brain, like, and they start going into panic mode, like, holy shit, we actually have to fucking perform now because, there's only 20 minutes left in the match and we're gonna lose. And then they start playing, and then they actually start playing football. And it just doesn't make sense. It literally does not make sense. And anyway, Xerxes always looks for Ahmad on the right hand side. Well, I think one of the other things is that Xerxes was, I think Xerxes is growing. I like his footwork. I like his footwork. I like his technical ability with the ball. He had some periods and moments during the match, dribbling through certain amount of players, holding on to the ball, releasing the ball, and actually getting a pass off, and not losing the ball once he's doing those things, which I think was happening to him early in the season. He was getting dispossessed far too easily. He was trying to do things. They weren't coming off. They weren't working. Over the past sort of like couple matches, that part of his game, he seems like he's much more confident in himself. It's coming off to a certain degree. So I'm happy about that. Obviously we need more, but it's at least it's encouraging that he is growing in certain aspects. And I think he's getting more accustomed to the Premier League, which is good because in the beginning of the season it looked like a buy, which was like, did somebody have a bad dream or something? Why did we get this guy, and how does he fit the league? How does he fit our team? Like what were they looking at? Because there's some of his characteristics where he's slow, was like a mess, but it is improving a little bit in those areas. Aventino saying, yo, we are so low on confidence. We are. I think we are. I think you can see that in the players. I think you can see it in a lot of things aren't right in their head. You can tell a lot of times they're going through the motions. I think their mentality is very wrong, and maybe you can pin it on the manager as well, because maybe it's his job, and maybe he would say the same, that it's his job to get the players motivated for these matches, for the situation it's in. But I almost feel like when I look at some of these players, like they're going into this match against Everton, they're like, we're away from home. It's not a nice environment, obviously, because we're not home. And they're like, we're 15th in the league. Our season's over. I feel like that's kind of how they're playing. Like, they go into the match and they're like, we're 15th in the league. Like, we have nothing to fight for. We're not getting Champions League. We're not getting European football out of the league. And we're 15th. Like, and they're almost going into these matches like, yeah, what's the point? And they play like it's a scrimmage. They play like it's a training match or something. Like they're not fully motivated for this, which is an issue because number one, we want to finish as high as possible. We want to, even though it might not lead to any significance, we still want to, I'd rather finish fucking 12th than 15th. I'd rather finish 11th than 15th or 16th, whatever. And obviously there's still a threat of relegation because, if we lose every single remaining match, then we can definitely get relegated. And the way we're performing week in and week out, we are literally performing like a relegation team. Like I watching us play today, I just felt like I was like we the way we perform, I was like we actually deserve to get relegated. Like this is a team that if it wasn't Manchester United and it was another team in the Premier League, I would be looking at them and say they're absolutely shit. They're gonna get relegated. Like they deserve to get relegated. They're horrible. They are horrible. But it's my club, obviously, and it's Manchester United, so there's a little bit of bias. But I'm just thinking about it like if this wasn't United, they had a different name with a different kit and a different badge, and I'm watching them play this football and I'm watching them do it week in and week out. I'm like, I would just be like, they are horrible and they're gonna get relegated. They deserve it. Like they just play so bad. Like they actually deserve to get relegated. Aventino says Xerxes needs a week to make sure it passes. Well, that's one of the things. I mean, that's one of the little minor things. He needs to release the ball a little bit quicker. There was one thing where he had a very good dribble, kept the ball close to him, to his feet. He went through like 3 or 4 players in the middle of the pitch, but he kept trying to go and he almost lost the ball. And it was like, all right, after like the second or third time, once you get like the initial players off of you and you get a little bit of space, like pass the fucking ball. Don't keep holding it. Don't keep trying to go. You're not Ronaldo. You're not Messi. Like you did well. Now pass it and move. And too many of our players do this as well, Aventino. We take too many extra touches. We think about too many things. It's still not instinctive. It's still not natural to them. We have players, too many of them over dribble the ball, they overhold the ball, they take too long to release the ball. If they do release the ball, they then don't make the proper movements off of the ball. And those issues have been there since Amorim. I mean, they were there before Amorim came in, but since he's come in, that was a problem already there, and it's still a problem now. So I do feel bad for Amorim because I think he's drowning as well. He is drowning. Because I just think there's so many different dynamics in the squad that need correction, that need fixing, that need to be dealt with. And I just don't know how you tackle all of those things for the period of time that we're in right now in the middle of the season. Like I'm looking at it and I feel overwhelmed for him. I feel overwhelmed for him. I can only imagine him. I feel fucking overwhelmed looking at the situation as a whole and looking at what he needs to fix, and then looking where the club is at, and we're in the middle of a season. I feel overwhelmed for him. And I'm like, how the fuck are you possibly going to be able to do these things? Like, it's literally, I feel hopeless in that aspect. I feel like it's impossible. I feel like there's no way that you can do it. There just is no way. Box saying Garnacho made the impact. Well, he's definitely one of those. He's definitely one of those things. I think we've said that a lot this season. When Garnacho doesn't start, he gets put on, and he has it's that thing. It's that directness about him. It's that, and you're right. I think he did make I think he made an impact for sure. But I think he just adds this dynamic of like the team looks very lackluster. They look very out of ideas. They look a little bit lacking energy. They look a little bit uninspired, unmotivated. And when Garnacho doesn't start, he gets like this kind of kick up the ass, this fire under his ass that like when he goes on the pitch, he's going to make a fucking direct impact as soon as I get onto the pitch. And he gets on the ball, and maybe his final product is whatever you want to argue about it, whatever it is, but listen, he picks up the ball, he drives at the opposition, he poses them a challenge, he scares them. They are afraid of him because you can see they're afraid of his ability, they're afraid of his speed, they're afraid of his dribbling. They're afraid that he's going to take shots or and stuff like that. So yeah, I think once again as another super sub, I think he's had a great impact. And he changed the dynamic in our squad a little bit. Because he was really doing things that people weren't doing on the pitch for a large part of the match. Aventino says, one thing that Xerxes definitely gives us is the ability to change direction as compared to the squad. Yes. And I must commend that Garnacho did have an impact. And Aventino also saying, Amorim needs a hug. Red Devils experience should reach out to him. Well, I would certainly give him a hug. I feel like I need a hug. I feel like I think we all need a hug after watching these types of matches. It's very difficult. And it's painful. It really is painful, man. I mean, and it is painful. It's painful because listen, a lot of us, we have hundreds of millions of fans around the world. I'm sure there's some United fans out there that are very well off. And nothing against them, but I'm sure they're very well off. I'm sure they have a very nice life. Maybe they're very comfortable. But I think the majority of people are just normal, regular people that work tough jobs or have hard lives, and football is supposed to be an escape from real life for 90 minutes of your life where you can sit down and you can enjoy your team and you can enjoy something and kind of not think about your problems for just a little bit and get a break from the real world. But what happens is when your team is the way our team is, it just adds to it. And so it is difficult. We wait all week to watch our team play, and then it just adds to the pile of shit that's going on in your regular life. You know what I mean? So it is very difficult. It is very hard to deal with at times. Fox says Arsenal's losing. Um, for fuck's sakes, I was hoping they'd put pressure on Liverpool. Yes, Liverpool. Liverpool. That is always and will for always ever be the name. I get you on that box, but listen, I've already accepted that they won the league. I think for a large moment in the season, you kept hoping week in, week out. I hope they lose this match. I mean, they're not. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. You see the way they perform. You see the way they keep winning matches, even when they don't play great. Somehow they've been pulling out results. They're performing the best in the Champions League. They just it's not gonna happen. No, nobody is gonna catch them, and they're gonna win the league. Like I've already accepted this. Just, I can tell. I've seen us. I've seen us win the league too many times. I've seen the characteristics of a team that it takes to win the league. I've seen the performances of teams that win the leagues and that are winning teams and that are champion teams, and they have it. They have it, and nobody's gonna stop them this season. Nobody is gonna stop them this season because Arsenal doesn't have that, and City has completely lost it. And I just don't see them. I just don't see them dropping enough points. And to be quite honest, I don't know what's worse. Obviously, in terms of the bigger picture, Liverpool is our greatest rivals, and they're gonna tie us on trophies. So that's obviously the biggest negative. But you're choosing from bad to bad. Liverpool winning the league is bad. Arsenal winning the league is also bad. Because they'll never fucking shut up about it. Their fan base. City doing it obviously isn't good. Anybody besides us, really. Maybe the neutral would be like a Chelsea, because I don't really give a shit too much about Chelsea. So if Chelsea were to win the league, I'd rather have them do it than some of the other teams. But it just it just yeah, listen, we are where we are, and we only have ourselves to blame. I mean, we should be a team, we should be a club that should be in a position to be fighting against Liverpool to try and stop them. And we are weak, and we are nowhere near. So if Liverpool tie us and then they surpass us, in league titles, we only have ourselves as a football club to blame, really. And when I say ourselves, I don't mean like us, the fans. But just the club in general. I mean, the club has slipped away, um, and allowed itself to be overtaken in so many different positions and aspects by other clubs. So it's on us, because we at the end of the day, Manchester United, the football club, has a responsibility to uphold the Manchester United name and to be serious, and we haven't been doing that for over 11 years, and ultimately, obviously, that goes back to the Glazers and our owners and stuff like that. So um you know um Lyle giving us the live update saying Arsenal 0, West Ham 1, Bournemouth 0, Wolves 1, Fulham 0, Crystal Palace 1. Holy shit, all the away teams are winning. What is going on? Ipswich 1, Tottenham 2, which is also not a good result for us. And Southampton 0 and Brighton Hove Albion 1. Every single whole team is losing. Every single home team is losing right now. That's absolutely insane. Lyle says it would be good for Arsenal to win before Liverpool. Would be good for Arsenal to win before Liverpool takes on City. Yes. Does MLS start this weekend? What's MLS? No, what is an MLS? Major League Soccer, which is the US league. And I'm gonna be quite honest, Lions. I have absolutely no clue. Maybe I'm a bad American for that, but I don't watch the MLS. I couldn't give a shit about the MLS. I grew up on Premier League football, and I grew up on Manchester United, and when I was like 12, I tried to watch the MLS, and I looked at it and I was like, what is this shit? I couldn't watch it. I only watched it when Bex came here because it was such a big deal, and Bex was my favorite player of all time, and I loved them. So I just watched a little bit of LA Galaxy, and then I got over it eventually. Yeah, I have no clue about anything about MLS. Um, as Lyle said, dude, I tried watching an MLS game, and boy, it's boring. I mean, yeah, it lacks a lot of quality. It doesn't even look as entertaining. The style of play is, you compare it to the Prem, and you're just like, what am I watching? What am I watching? Like, it's just not it. It's not it. Um, you know, dude, you like me, I do not give a shit about local soccer. Well, like, listen, if I would love to, and I have my team. I have my New York Red Bulls that I support, right? In a way, but only because, like, I'm from New York and I support the New York teams. But, like, it's just like, it's just not good. So, I would love to give a shit about local soccer, but I'm not gonna pretend. Like, if it's not good, I'm not. I have no interest in it. Like, it's not good. If it was on a higher quality, I would definitely be, looking at my local, but also supporting Manchester United. But I'm not. Manchester United is already a big enough job as it is, especially at this moment in time. It takes out a lot. I'm not spending more time watching a shitty MLS you know league. It's just not fun. It's not entertaining. I don't find it fun. So I'm not gonna waste my time on it. um I'm just looking to see any quotes. Yeah, I mean, the mainstream media is trying to make a big deal right now, and I would just say this: any mainstream pundit out there that is making a big deal about the penalty being overturned, you are an absolute um you are you are compromised. You are a fake public figure, because one, I don't trust him to give us their actual real opinion. They're on a network that I feel like, or networks that push a certain agenda, and tell them what to say in their little earpieces. So anybody that is on these pundits that are on Sky Sports or whatever other, and they're making a big deal about the penalty being overturned, you're an absolute moron. And the network you work for is an absolute joke. Because they're trying to turn this into a giant story now. Meanwhile, all season, fleeting pulls have not been given as pens or fouls. And suddenly they're all forgetting about that because it has to do with Manchester United. And they wanted us to lose. And I think that's very important, actually. People like Michael Owen, or any of these other people that have any of these other comments. I think the network, like Sky Sports, for example, or any of these other pundits, they're actually showing how much of an agenda against Manchester United they have, and how much they hate us, and how much they want us to fail, how much they would love if we actually got relegated, and how much they love that we are in 15th and that we are suffering and that we are shit. So I actually think that they're exposing themselves more than actually getting support for spinning some bullshit on their network. Because um, if it was Liverpool or if it was City, I don't think they would be making these same comments. I don't even think that they would have talked about it in depth. I think they would have glossed over it, and they wouldn't even have talked about it. But because it's United, and they hate us so much, and it's so blatant that they hate us, that they do things like this. So they're absolute jokers. And this is why nobody respects you, by the way. This is why nobody respects people in the mainstream anymore. Nobody respects Sky Sports. or a lot of these pundits, it's because you do things like this and people see through your bullshit. They see through your agenda. They see you're not being real with them, and they see that you don't know what you're actually talking about. Like you don't actually watch as much football as fans, and you're there being told what to say. Like it's not real opinion. It's not real. It's all scripted. It's all fake, and you're pushing lies. So, um, you know, um, only one pundit has been making any sense recently, and surprisingly, has been Rio Ferdinand. The fact that is a thing, Lines. I think we've slipped into some alternate reality because how Rio Ferdinand could be one of the few pundits that is the only people that's making sense. I don't know what alternate universe reality we've gone into. Um, because Rio has said some of the most craziest, unlogical shit over a period of years, and if he's the one that is making any sense out of all the other pundits, then we are. I don't know where we are. I don't know. I don't know what universe I've woken up into, but it was not the one that I was in before because I don't know what's going on. Lyle says I hate the fact we gave Owen a Premier League medal. That was his only option to get one wanker. I mean, yeah, and he should be more grateful to us for that because one, he is a wanker, and two, if it wasn't for us, he wouldn't have that shit. And we gave him the number 7 shirt. For being an ex-Liverpool player. He should be very grateful to us, but he is a wanker. He's a total just moron. He's a prat. I heard him last week talking about something. I think they were talking about Amorim having to change his system, having to change his formation. Which, by the way, are two different things. Changing the formation, changing the system. Changing the formation is not changing the system. The system is a system. Formation is formation. I think we get that confused sometimes. But yeah, total knob. Yeah, 100%. And I'm sitting there listening to him. I think he was on a panel with Berbatov and somebody else. And the other guys were making sense and they were reasonable. Michael Owen jumps in, starts saying some shit, and I'm like, you literally sound like you have no clue what you're talking about. And Michael Owen literally putting out a tweet saying, I'm a VAR fan. I'm a VAR fan, but that last minute penalty was a mess. Maguire wasn't the culprit, yet VAR repeatedly offered the ref one angle and failed to show the shirt pull from the lit. And people rightfully pointing out, like, you played for us, right? Like, what do you mean you're a VAR fan? Like, who says things like that? Who says I'm a VAR fan? No, first of all, you should be a football fan. And you played for us. Like, you played for us. Like, we gave you a Premier League medal. We gave you the number 7 shirt. And you go on Twitter and you put out, I'm a VAR fan. And you're talking about Maguire wasn't the culprit. Like, some people, man. But this is life, right? Some people don't deserve to be in positions that they're in, but they get there because of, I don't know, somebody they know, their name, whatever it is. So he obviously shouldn't be a pundit, but he's there because of, whatever it is. Bruno Fernandes is the first Manchester United player to score from a free kick in the Premier League since Cristiano Ronaldo against Norwich. I mean, that's a terrible that's a terrible stat. You want to call it a stat, but I mean, um, Ronaldo scored against Norwich. What was that, like 2 seasons ago? So we can't. So we we can't score from free kicks in 2 years, and Bruno did it today, and we probably won't do it again for like another year and a half. It just shows you the problems. Like, we are bad in every area. We struggle to defend set pieces. We struggle to score from set pieces, corners, or free kicks, whatever it is. I mean, it's just it just shows you that we all weak. Like, we do lack trying to score. So um Sorry, I'm just reading things. So, um, I'm just trying to see if I got any quotes. So, Amorim on Garnacho being on the bench, he said the games are different and sometimes you want something different in the same position. It's a good thing to be disappointed. There are many games, and in today's football, there is no typical XI. We have a group that we have to use. Today, I thought about Garnacho on the bench to change something. So fair play. I think he's right in that. And sometimes, he did benefit us coming off the bench, so that part at least did work. Ruben said that I told the players at halftime, no matter the result, we are going to do what we did during the week, but a little more energy. I think you saw that. It wasn't different in the positions. It was different in the quality we played the game. And this is the thing I'm talking about. And I'm so glad he made this comment, because this actually highlights like the thing I'm saying. For me personally, it just validates that I'm not crazy in the shit that I'm seeing and the shit that I'm thinking. Like, he actually needs to hold their hand in the dressing room. He actually needs to hold their hands in the dressing room. Like, he's saying, like, I told the players at halftime, no matter the result, we're going to do what we did during the week, which means, like, we've practiced this. You know what you're supposed to be doing on the pitch. And he has to hold their hand and tell them, you need to run a little bit more. You need to put in a little bit more effort. You need to, him saying, but a little bit more energy. Why? They should be putting in the energy. They should be knowing these things when they're on the pitch. Why does it take the manager? Why does it take till halftime? Grab them by the hand, sit down with them and be like, guys, I need you to put in a little bit more energy for us, please. What the fuck? What is that? What is that? And he's just highlighting, like, I didn't change any positions. I didn't, the only difference was it was the quality of how we played the game. And again, I put it on them because they get that little message. They go out there. They're the ones that still have to make the adjustments on the pitch at the end of the day. The keys are in their hands. They still need to put in more effort. They still need to make the extra run. They still need to battle hard. Like, they are the ones doing the actions on the pitch. Why does it take Ruben Amorim to hold their fucking hand at halftime for them to do it? They should be doing those things as professional players. They should be managing that aspect themselves. Lions says that Owens is such a Sancho. I think we can coin that term from now on. I like that. We're going to start using that to describe things and people. Lion says he's a VAR fan because he represents the stupid VAR show. Well, yeah, I know. So, bias much, getting paid, for VAR, and being biased. Again, like I said, not real, scripted, fake. It's not respected. So Lyle says he also tweeted, I agree. So in a roundabout way, the correct decision was made. Yeah, he's a knob. He's a knob. Lion says it's a silent W in Norwich, just like our free kicks have been. Yeah. Many people coming on defending Bruno, saying, if you're a United fan and you think Bruno is the problem, then I'm sorry, but football isn't for you. There's been many tweets like that. Amorim saying, I felt we started differently in the second half. We won second balls. We pushed the opponent back. We didn't let Beto control the ball. Then Bruno scored a free kick, and we were the better team. And I don't think he's necessarily wrong about that, but I think the bigger question and the bigger problem is, why can we not start the match in that manner? And why can we not do a complete 90-minute performance like that? Why have we consistently been starting first halves absolutely dog shit, conceding goals, going down, or not creating zero chances on target in the first half, and then in the second half we start doing these things that we should be starting matches and doing those for 90 minutes? I wish somebody would ask him that. I wish somebody would ask him, why is it that on a consistent basis, your team or your players are can only do these things after you speak to them at halftime and only do them in the second half, why can they not start matches in this manner, and why can they not do it for 90 minutes? I wish they would ask him that question, because I just want to hear his response to it, because I think obviously he would give us a real and fair response, and I would be interested to know what he feels like is the issue on that. I mean, but he was asked on the lack of consistency in performances, and he said, "I don't know. If I knew, I would change." So maybe he doesn't know either. I mean, I see his frustration on the sideline. I see the disgust in Ruben Amorim when he's watching what he's watching on the sideline. I actually think that he sees the work we do in training. We get to the match, and he actually can't believe what he sees from the players, just like how we can't believe it. But I think it's more so evident in his face, because he's actually working with them on a daily basis, week in and week out. And you get to the match, and I think it's something similar to what Benny McCarthy said after he left, where Benny McCarthy said something similar of like, they perform so well during training, and you get to the match, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, and they didn't understand it. And I think that's happening now. Like, I think Amorim is seeing some things that he feels encouraged, and that's like an improvement in the training. And then when we get to the actual match, he can't believe his eyes. Like, you know, he described the first half as non-existent. Like, I'm watching that, and I'm like, we look like amateurs. And I was like, there is no fucking way that we can be playing at this level when we are working week in and week out, every day, doing training. And there's no way Amorim isn't doing training to improve them. So, you know, I think he looks at that. I think he was looking at it the same way. You know, when he says they're non-existent, like, pretty much saying the same thing I'm saying, that they played like absolute amateurs. And I don't think he understands it either. I don't think nobody understands it. I don't even think the players understand it. I don't think they understand. They might have, you know, a feeling, a thought. But if you asked 10 of them, I think you would get 10 different fucking answers. I don't think there would be one player that would give you the same answer. I don't think they would identify the same problem. I think they would all give you different ideas, which is a problem in itself, because that means that it's something that nobody knows how to actually address. Ugarte was good today in what he did. You know, high passing accuracy. He had some good defensive actions, recovering the balls, winning ground duels. Obviously scored the goal to tie the match as well. I almost forgot about that as well. So it was a good take. Good game for him individually. Team performance, unfortunately, was absolutely shit. Amorim saying, you know, scoring is always a problem, but not only scoring, but also creating chances. We have to improve on that. I mean, we all know that. I would love to know how you're going to do that, because I don't know how you're going to do that. And I feel hopeless in that's going to improve right now. So let me just see if we got any other actual news. Something of consistency. Bruno Fernandes for Manchester United so far this season, he has 10 goals, 12 assists. And, you know, Chad is one that thinks that he is certainly not a captain material, and that considers him a problem. And I've always said this. Maybe for the position, maybe there's better players out there. Maybe there's somebody that plays it a lot more cleaner. Somebody that doesn't give the ball or make as many mistakes as maybe he does. Maybe they look after the ball a little bit better. But my argument has always been, if you consider Bruno Fernandes a problem, that's fine. But I would argue that until you get somebody that can actually replace Bruno Fernandes, saying Bruno Fernandes is the problem and removing Bruno Fernandes from the club and not having somebody that can actually play that position to his level or better than him, I think is absolutely insane, because whether you like him or not, he is the creator. He is part of the engine. And you might not think that he does it well enough or good enough, but if you if we are this shit with him there, if you take him out, we will drop another level or two. Because we don't have somebody to. Right now, there is nobody to replace the things that he does. So you might not think he is the world class. You might not say he's top 5 in that position and what you want, but we don't have somebody that, if you take him out and you put somebody else in, we don't have somebody that will raise the bar higher than what he is giving us. So until you get me that person, I will not say that Bruno Fernandes is the problem and you have to take him out, because I think it's nonsense. And Lion says Fernandes deserves more respect. I think he does at times. I think it's fine to have an opinion that you don't like him or that you don't think he's, that upper echelon type of player. It's fine. You want to make arguments for that, that's fine. But I think for the things that he's done for us as well, I think he does get fairly disrespected by certain people. Lion says United has been like that for years. It's not just an Amorim problem. No, it's certainly not just an Amorim problem, but that's just what I'm saying. Like, it is certainly a United problem. It's been a United problem. And because it's been a United problem, it is technically now an Amorim problem. But we always break that down. We always divide that and make sure that, yes, this is a problem that Amorim has to deal with, but it has to be made clear that this is not a problem that Amorim created. This is a problem that Amorim inherited, and he inherited many problems. Which is why I refuse to turn on this manager, and I refuse, and I'm going to give him time, and I'm going to keep backing him, because it is clear as day that the problems plaguing our club have all 95% have been inherited, and they're not of his doing, and so therefore anybody else, they're going to inherit the same problems, and they're going to struggle to fix these problems because they've been going on for quite some time. Yeah, it's a problem he needs to fix. He's inherited it. He needs to fix them. He needs to try and fix them, but the blame can't be that he made them, because he did not. Listen, guys, we're not going to do player ratings, but it was a good show. What I'll do is, I think we're gonna go live a little bit later, maybe like about 3 hours from now, three or 4 hours from now, around what would be like 3 p.m. my time, so 8 p.m. UK time, or 7 p.m. UK time. We'll go live again. We'll do like sort of a news show. We'll do a topical show, and we'll end the Red Devil recap. We'll go live again, and we'll speak again, because I'd rather do a double today than try and fit one in tomorrow. Because obviously I'm leaving tomorrow, and I want to get one show in. I wanted to get one more show in, but I think it's better if I do a double today and then don't do a show tomorrow. And if I could do a show if I want to, but if I don't, at least we do a double today. So, so we will be going live back again later, 7 p.m., 8 p.m. UK time. So I hope you guys will be around for that. If you smashed the like button for us, for our channel, then I greatly appreciate it, and thank you guys very much. And if you're new and you subscribed, thank you for that, and we welcome you here, and we look forward to having you on the show. And Gray says, did you see a double pivot, Eric? I only saw one midfield. No, there's no double pivot. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. I understand what you're saying, and Bruno playing there, it does leave the other player quite exposed. I don't know. It's just a mess. It's a mess. I mean, it's not even just about the double pivot, Grace. You look at the positioning of the players all over the place, and they're just not where they're supposed to be. They're not doing the things they're supposed to be doing. There's moments in time we give the ball away, and I'm looking to see where the coverage is, and we're exposed, and you know, players are too far up the pitch, and they're not making enough effort to get back to try and defend, and they're very slow to do that, and it's a mess all over the place. Ugarte was never next to Casemiro. Then after Casemiro came off, Bruno played long. Pivot Ugarte was playing right wing. Yeah, I you know what? Maybe he was. I didn't really notice that. But I was not. Um, I was not paying attention to those aspects. To be quite honest, I was just too frustrated with the performance. I wasn't even looking at like individuals and where they were on the pitch. I just I was all over the place. Really, I was all over the place. I was thinking too many things. I was parts of the game I was uninterested because I was just like, they can't make a fucking pass. What was that one moment where Delit tried to kick the ball back to Onana in the air and kicked it out for a corner? Like, I was just like, what am I watching? So I was a little bit all over the place. So when you going to say Southgate in? Never, Grace. I'm never saying Southgate in. I don't want Southgate in any way. I'd rather. This is how much I dislike Southgate. And I don't even want this, but as a comparison, I'd rather make Marcus Rashford player manager, than have Gareth Southgate be the manager of the football club. And obviously, I don't want Marcus Rashford as player manager, but I think I might put Marcus Rashford as player manager over having Gareth Southgate. So Lyle says never. I'm never saying it. Never saying. Gray says we finished second twice under Ollie. Did you like the football under him? Um, Not necessarily. But listen, I'm a person that I can subside my personal needs of a playing style if it works. Um, if it works, if it's successful. I just don't believe in somebody like a Gareth Southgate. It's not even just his playing style is boring. I just don't think he's a good manager in any aspect. I just don't think he'll be able to do much of anything. Um, but I am a person at this typical point in time where yes, I would like a certain style of play, which would be fast, attacking, dynamic, high line, threatening, modern, just quick passing, um, kind of, echo a little bit of what we used to do. But for where we are now, I will take whatever it is. Like I'm not even necessarily a fan of a 3-back or a 5-back or whatever. I'm not necessarily a fan of that. I didn't grow up on that. I'm not necessarily a fan of that, but I will take if somebody comes with some type of football and they make it work and they make it successful, I can put aside my personal preference of a playing style because I might not necessarily enjoy the football to the max, but I will enjoy my team being good and winning. And at the end of the day, that's all that I really care about. So whether we play possession, counter attack, um, you know, some Guardiola, Barcelona type of style of football, um, tiki taka, whatever, like, whatever it is. If somebody can come here and make it work and make it successful and make us good at it, I will take it because at the end of the day, I just want my team to win. I want my team to be competitive. I want my team to be good. And I don't want my team to be an embarrassment and a laughing stock. So, um, I almost have almost no preference anymore. I just want whatever it is. I just want it to be strong. I want it to be a strong identity of a playing style and something that makes us competitive, and makes us somewhat enjoy to watch. And enjoy to watch would be winning football matches and being good and being competitive. So, um, with Ollie, we were a menace away games. Ollie didn't get the backing, and the Ronaldo transfer was his downfall. I do agree with that. I do think that the Ronaldo transfer was a it never felt right to me when it happened. It always, like, I was, obviously I wanted Ronaldo back. I was excited for Ronaldo to come back. It was more than anything that I wanted for years. I always wanted him to come back. I always felt like he left us too early, and I wanted him to come back at some point in time. And but when we did the signing, it just didn't feel like the correct thing for the project that was under Ole Gunnar and Solskjaer. It didn't feel like it was, it didn't feel like it was, it felt like it was something that was pushed onto him. It didn't feel like it was whatever he was trying to create, and whatever he was, like, his plan was lining up the squad. It didn't feel like it was something that he planned, and it didn't feel like it necessarily fit into what he was doing. And it definitely felt like a business move from the Glazers, and it definitely felt like something that was forced upon him. And I think it came as a surprise to him as well, because like us, nobody was really expecting it. It was very last minute. And obviously, you're going to say, yeah, I'm going to take Cristiano Ronaldo. But then when you take Cristiano Ronaldo, the plan that he had sort of went out the window, and he had to rearrange it for Cristiano Ronaldo, because you have to do that. And I think it messed up. It messed him up. And I think it messed everything up, and it led to him being sacked eventually. So, um, it's Sir Gareth. Where's the respect? Maybe in your country. No, I'm just joking. Grace says, but would we be better with the back four? Maybe right now, Grace. Maybe right now, for the players we have, for the squad that we have. Maybe, but I don't know. I see. I don't think it's necessarily if it's a back four or a back three. I think it's the way you play the back four, the back three. Because let's just say, for example, Grace, we go to a back four, right? With the players we have, you go into a back four. Let's say you play the back four as a super high line. So kind of maybe like what Ten Hag did in some games, where our line is literally on the midfield line. Well, we still have an issue there. Maguire's still slow as shit. The Lit isn't the fastest either. Um, and if you're gonna push up wing backs, or you're gonna push up the left back and the right back, you're gonna have about 3 defenders or 2 defenders, depending on how far they go up. If you lose the ball, we're gonna be completely exposed. So I think it's just more of the way you play the formation, not the formation itself, but it's the way in which you play the formation. Because I think if you took a fullback and you played us deeper, and you played us more counterattacking, and you played us less on the front foot, maybe that would help the team right now in the current situation for the players that we have available, and what the squad has a whole. But yeah, that's so I don't think it's necessarily um if it's a 4 or a 3. I just think it's the way you apply it, which is the system, of course, not the formation. I don't think the formation is necessarily an issue. I think it's more of the system, the way you're applying how the things work inside of the formation. So if that's why I think people asking for Ruben to change the formation, I think they're missing the point. I think maybe, and I think he's already trying to do these things, but I think if he changes the way in which the things are working inside of the formation, maybe he can do that instead of changing the formation, because I don't think the formation matters too much. I really don't. I think the formation is just a number in which you line up. Uh, the shape and what happens on the pitch constantly changes. So I don't think the formation is as important as the instructions that are given to play the formation. Because if you play a fullback, I can push everybody forward. We can be left with two center backs in the back, and we could still be completely exposed and still lose matches and still play like shit. So, I think it's just like, we play a 3-5-2 or whatever it is, right? The two tens, like you can tell them to go out wide, or you could have them narrow. You can have one stay as almost like a second striker and not come back on defense. You could have both of them come back on defense. You can have the back line play really high, or you can have the back line play deep, and you can shift the whole team deeper. So, I'm sure it's sacked the last few managers. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't. That's why I don't think like the formation is really that thing. Like, we've played a fullback anyway, and they've all got sacked and they've all failed. So I don't think the number of the formation really matters. Um, and I think anyway the issues above the manager is a big problem, which has led to all of them being sacked. Because those have never been addressed and never been fixed. So we can focus on the manager and his system and his ideas all day, and sure, maybe there's problems there, but as we've seen, we keep sacking managers, and the major big issues that are the real downfall of the managers have never been fixed. And they keep going on to the next manager, and they keep getting them sacked. Lyle says we finally reached the 30-point mark. Onwards and upwards, Reds. Grace says Ronaldo to City. Fergie calls him, says come to United. Ronaldo says yes. Ali says no. Ali overruled. Well, I don't even think Ali said no. I think Ali just didn't plan for that. I don't think Ali knew that was going to happen. And I think it threw off the team dynamic, because when a player like Ronaldo comes into the team, I think it's going to throw off the team dynamic 100%, because now you have to shift. The way I seen it was like Ali was really trying to put a team together. And when you have somebody like Ronaldo come in, a lot of that goes out the window, because now you have to center everything around Ronaldo. And listen, I love Ronaldo. And I wasn't one of those people that said Ronaldo was a problem, because I don't think Ronaldo was necessarily the problem. I think there was a problem with him. But obviously I always said that the problems at the club go much further beyond a player or a manager. But yeah, I don't think Ali necessarily said no. I think Ali was like, yeah, I'll take Ronaldo. I just don't know, I wasn't expecting this. The season's literally started or about to start. I don't really have a plan for this. I kind of have to rework everything now, because, we're going to use Ronaldo, but I wasn't prepared for this. And I think it kind of just threw off the entire team dynamic. And whatever he did, it didn't necessarily work. So, Axe says pathetic. That is what they did. Chad says if he is going to keep his formation, he has to be more inventive. Yeah, I think there are maybe some things that he can change in the manner in which they are doing things on the pitch, to benefit some of the players we have. I think that's not necessarily a wrong thing to do. But I don't know at the same time. I think he's looking at it like, I need them to learn this. And I think he's forcing it through. And there's obviously an issue with that, because it's a gamble, because they might not be able to do it. They might not improve in any type of way. And he's still forcing it through. So it's either going to pay off or it's going to continue to fail, which is an issue. Axe says we need to change Ruben, not his formation. Well, I disagree. I still think he's a very good manager, and I don't think. I just think that the situation listen. I think if you took Ruben, dropped him somewhere else, that wasn't a mess of Manchester United, and you didn't drop him in the middle of the season. I don't think the way that he's suffered all these losses, I don't think this would be happening at any other football club. I think solely it's a mixture of taking the situation of Manchester United and then dropping a manager that plays a completely different style of play system and needs certain abilities and stuff like that for his system that's not in the squad. So I don't think Ruben's a bad manager in any way. I think he's a good manager. And I think if you dropped him in any other team, he'd probably be doing all right. He'd be doing pretty good. Especially if you just dropped him in the middle of the season, I think he'd be doing much better than the results that he's gotten. I think what we're seeing is just a collective of shit all around from Manchester United. So, Axe, as I told you from the very beginning, 3 defenders at the back in the EPL is horrible. Ineos hard, a downgrade version of LVG. Well, maybe. I still don't know because I just don't think we don't. I just think we don't have the players for it. So, I'm not completely against it. As of right now. Again, I just think that what happened is that this season has 110% become just a write off. Well, at least in the Premier League. So, um, and how I see it is that Ruben's not going to get a fair shake until we at least get to the summer, and that's if Ineos actually figure out how to bring in players for Ruben Amorim. And he actually gets a preseason stuff like that, and I'd like to judge him based off of that. So, for me, this is, I don't even know what to call it anymore, but I've already internalized it as next season is the actual beginning for Ruben Amorim, and this is just I don't know what this is. Uh, you know, it's like a trial and error season. That's kind of what it seems like. Like it just that's what it's gone to. Like this is a trial and error. Like we're just trying to see what works, what doesn't, and um a lot of it's going to be fucked up and we're preparing so we can prepare this for the next season. So I don't know. Chad says oh wait. Grace says Messi's Barcelona was a proper team. They all played for each other. I hope we can build a team. But that's what I've been asking for, Grace. For months now. I've been saying we actually need to build a team. Like we need a real team. We need a foundation. We need a lot of things. So Chad says I'm talking about the players been moved around in positions that some might say see as less likely. Talking about the players have been moved around positions some might see. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, well, that's what I was kind of trying to say. Like, in the formation, in the system, like you can having a player do playing a certain way, like the tens, and putting a certain player there, like those things you can kind of switch around. But again, he doesn't have. I mean, he doesn't have that many options. Like, look at the bench from today, right? And it's like, yeah, all right, there was Garnacho, Euro, Cheeto. Then there's, youth prospect, Victor Lindelof, Ericsson, and Kone. So, it- you know, how much interchangeability do you have right now? Um, Rasmus is playing up top. Xerxes playing 10 with Bruno. Illo is playing right back, and Dorgu's playing left back. There's no, and then you have Delit, Maguire, Maz. Like so, you're not gonna get much of anything else. I think it's just more so instructions. Like what he could do is take the 3-4-2-1, drop it back down a little bit deeper. Instead of having this player go up, have that player drop back. Like there's only so much that he could really do with the available personnel that we have. Like we are down in personnel. And we were already arguing prior to that the personnel wasn't good enough, but we're lacking options. So it's like, how much can you actually tinker and change around? What are you gonna do? Play Rasmus as the 10 and play Xerxes up top? Um, you know, there's not much. Not much you could do. Read my third comment. Your third comment. I did. I thought it did. Lyle says, Conte won the damn league with the three at the back. He fell out of Chelsea because they didn't invest to maintain that. So teams got smarter to the tactic. I actually really don't think that the way I view formations is it's just a number. It's just a number. It actually really doesn't matter. It's more of the philosophy. It's more of the instructions that go into this system. It's more of in the manner in which you play. It's more of the personnel that you have as a team, the team's identity, the team's abilities, if they complement each other, stuff like that. I really the formation thing, three at the back, four at the back, five at the back, put fucking seven at the back. I mean, you can literally start a match, line up in a seven at the back, and when you have the ball, you have two back there. Like it does it literally on the bigger picture to me at least doesn't matter. Like it literally doesn't matter. Like you can literally like I can literally line up with the six back, and when we're playing, on the on field shape could be two center backs, um, a left back and a right back. But we lined up in in a six back. Now obviously the personnel you put there matters as well. If you put six defenders, that might not work, but you can line it up that way. You can change things. But this is what I'm saying. Like there's a lack of personnel anyway, so it's how are you gonna really switch it up? Um, Axel Amorim said we will suffer. Manchester United is comatose now. How can you accept and hope for next season? Shame on you. We need to revolt now. Amorim is a baffling baboon. Well, because I don't blame Ruben Amorim. You blame Ruben Amorim. I do not blame Ruben Amorim because I am not. Um, again, you say Amorim is a baffling baboon. I don't think so. And I think you put too much blame on Amorim. Like, let's face the music. I don't give a shit if Eric Ten Hag finished eighth or if he finished whatever he finished third in his first season. Eric Ten Hag was failing and he was going to fail. Like, and before that, Ali failed and Ranić failed and LVG failed and Mourinho failed. Everybody failed. So unless we just like hire the worst managers ever and they're all shit, um, because by your standard acts, then I can just say that all right, Amorim is shit, so was Ten Hag, so was LVG, so was Mourinho, so was Solskjaer, so was Ranić, so was Moyes. Everybody was shit. They are shit managers. They can't do their job. They suck at their job, and we should be sacking all of them because they're all baffling baboons. They're all morons at their job. They don't know football. They don't know what they're doing, and 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 I don't agree with that. I don't think that's true. I think you put too much emphasis on a manager when clearly it's not Ruben Amorim. Not Ruben Amorim, just like it wasn't Eric Ten Hag for the most part, but he didn't help himself over a period of time. And the same thing will happen to Ruben Amorim eventually down the line if he doesn't get things corrected. Like right now, there's many people, I don't think nobody is really, I mean, there's some, but I think the majority of people aren't really putting blame on Amorim because they see the giant shit show that's going on behind the curtains, behind Ruben Amorim, and they're concerned about that, and they understand that this has led to this disaster, and it's not helping Ruben Amorim. Again, there's not an environment for a manager to succeed. So I see it very much as I can go and grab any manager in the world, stick them in Ruben Amorim's position. Will the performances be a little bit improved? Maybe. Maybe not. But I don't think it would be as massive for it to improve much. In any type of way, especially if you're getting any type of manager that doesn't play a 4-2-3-1 counterattack, sit back and counterattack. If you get any manager that plays any other football besides that football, and he dropped them in how we dropped them in, Ruben Amorim in, I think that they'll suffer and they'll fail as well because the squad's not made for it. We were having a shit season. We don't have players. We don't have the personnel for it. So, yeah. Um, And Amorim said we will suffer because he is not a baffling baboon. He understands that the players are shit, that the squad isn't built for this, and that he knew that. So and I will not be deleting any photo. Amorim will never win the EPL with United. You know what? I really don't care, Ax. I don't care. You know, maybe he won't. But you know what? You know what I'm not gonna do. I'm not gonna delete this picture because in Ruben Amorim, I trust Ruben Amorim. And I'm not gonna delete nothing. No, because I believe in him, and whether I'm wrong or right, I do believe in him. So I'm not going to do that in any way. And you can sit there and say Amorim will never win the EPL with United, and that's fine. You know what? That's a very easy statement for you to make, Axe Lord. Actually, it's actually a harder statement for me to say in Ruben I trust, and actually back the manager, and actually trust this manager, and actually try to get behind this manager and understand the major, bigger problems that has failed every single manager prior to him, including him now. To say Amorim will never win the EPL with United is the easiest statement you can make. You know why? We had 6 other managers at this club that haven't won the EPL. Nobody has won the EPL. And actually, if Amorim gets sacked, guess what? The next manager, you can say the same thing. It's real easy because the club ain't set up to win. But I trust him to change the way we actually play football. Now, I don't know about Ineos, and I don't know about the Glazers, and I don't know about their plan at the football club, and that has a big implication, but I think his system, his style of play is good. It's modern. I like it. I like what he did at Sporting. I want to see it replicated at Manchester United, and I want him given the opportunity to do it because we don't have a style of play that is good, entertaining in any type of way. We've never had it. We don't have it. No manager has done it. No manager has had something that's good, something that's sustainable, something that's long-term. So, I got nothing to lose with backing Ruben Amorim because we've failed over and over and over and over and over again. So I have nothing to lose, and I will back Ruben Amorim until it's unbackable. And it's too early to be doing this. So I'm giving him to next season. I want to see what comes out of that. I want to see what we do. This season is a shit show. And I think a lot of it's out of his hands. So, I will be here defending this manager like I did with every manager. I gave every single manager, I gave them all 3 years at the very least. And at some point, it becomes unsustainable and then becomes unbackable because there's a certain amount of period of time that you can be here where you have to show some type of progress. Him being here for 5 months or however long he's been here means F all right now. So, even Southgate looks like a better pick than Amorim. Ineos are demented. Yes, because Southgate would make us play this defensive shit football that would maybe get us some results, but we ain't going to challenge. It's not going to transform the team. Gareth Southgate would play something similar to what the team has been playing over the past few years, which is like sit back and counterattack. That's what the squad is built for. I want this squad demolished. I want it ripped apart, and I want it rebuilt to what Ruben Amorim plays, or at least something modern. I don't want to be a team that plays reactive football. I want to play proactive. We don't have the squad to play reactive right now. Proactive. I'm sorry. We don't have the squad to play proactive. We don't. Ruben Amorim's system is proactive. Can't play it. Any other manager that you get, whether they play a 3-back, a 4-back, a 5-back, any manager that plays proactive football and they come and they implement it right now, they will fail. It will not work. We will have shit results. We will lose matches because the team cannot play it. They don't have they don't have the capabilities. They don't have the ability. They don't have the character. They don't have the attitude. There's so many shit that they're missing. So unless you get a manager like Southgate who would play some shitty defensive ass football, soak up the pressure, and that still might not even be good enough. Because you know what? Maybe we won't be in 15th, but maybe we won't be in 4th either. Maybe we won't be in 6th. Maybe we'll finish 8th again. Maybe we'll be in 10th. Maybe we'll be in 9th. You know, doesn't, to me, 9th and 15th is the same shit. If you ain't in the top 4, or if you ain't at least getting into the Europa League at the very minimum, then, you know, finishing 8th or finishing 15th, same shit to me. You ain't getting nothing out of it, and it's still a shit season. So, Moyes dominated us today. Well, Everton have been very good since he's come in. They played very good. They played a very good match against Liverpool. They tied Liverpool. Liverpool is at the top of the league. They're in very good form. I actually expected to lose this match, considering the way we are playing, and I understand the way things are going. We ended up drawing, but yeah, we played very bad. But again, I just, the personnel of the team is very shit, and it does not fit what the manager needs. So, yeah, I agree we need to revolt, but you want to revolt to sack the manager. I'm not revolting to sack the manager. The club needs a revolution in removing our owners. And this is what I'm saying. Like, you want to focus so much on Ruben Amorim. Like, I could give two shits about the manager right now, because there's so many problems and so many things that he actually inherited that he needs to fix, that it's literally impossible for one man to do that job without any help from the people up above. And those people, if they're incompetent, or they don't know what they're doing, or they make the wrong decisions, and they're just going to burn the manager like the previous people did to every other single manager we had. So I understand and I agree that we should be trying to remove our owners 100%, but removing our owners and revolting, as you say, has nothing to do with Ruben Amorim. Has nothing to do with Ruben Amorim, and has nothing to do with the current situation that he finds himself in. Those are two separate things. Two separate things. Rashford has been dropped for Villa. Well, surprise, surprise. I mean, listen, if you go jogging about places and you don't actually fucking run and you don't track back, this is what happens. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess he thinks he's Messi or Ronaldo and doesn't have to track back or something. You know, whatever. But that's not actually the news that we need. We actually need the news that Marcus Rashford is playing well and actually playing for Villa, because we need to sell him. So we need him to have a good loan. So, that's not fucking good news. Axe says Amorim is unsuited for United. Should have kept Rude. We could have qualified for Europe at least. But you don't know that. But here's the thing. That's fine if you feel that way, but I'm just letting you know that you and me and everybody else, nobody knows that. We could easily say in hindsight we should have kept Rude. We could be in the same position that we are in now with Rude. I mean, Rude's at Leicester, and Rude is taking the absolute piss at Leicester City. So, you know, what does that mean? It could have gone just as bad. Maybe it could have gone better, but you don't know that for sure. Nobody knows. What we do know is that we don't know if it would be better, but what we do know, and I think what we agree on, is that they shouldn't have forced him to come in the middle of November, and they should have allowed him to come when the season was over. That, I think, is something that everybody can agree on, and I think that was a big mistake that they made, because they thought that they would get a bounce, and they thought that the players were highly underperforming solely due to Erik ten Hag, and they blamed Erik ten Hag. But, you know, at the end of the day, just isn't what it is. Like, we don't know that. Which style has he implemented at United? He even called them the worst squad in United's history. They are. They literally are. And if that doesn't motivate you, Because if I'm a player for Manchester United and the fucking manager says that I am literally part of a squad that is considered the worst United team in Premier League history, which is a fact, by the way, I would be so motivated to not have that go on my name that I would be fucking running through brick walls. But this is the problem with them. They hear something like that and they want to go cry in a corner or sulk or get angry or throw a fucking temper tantrum or throw their toys out the pram or fucking give up. Because they're like, oh, the manager said that we are the worst team. I mean, you are. Look at the league position. Look at your performances. You guys are fucking shit. Step up. Do something. Yeah. Like, yeah. Talk about motivation. Where's their self-motivation? They're fucking grown people. Again, they always escape all responsibility, these players. Always. Always. And it's always the manager that suffers. Always. Always. We bitch and moan about the players, and then everybody turns their head towards the manager, stabs the manager in the back, and then fucking the players will change when this new guy comes in and puts in his new formation and his new system, and then they do that, and then it's still shit, and it's still not good enough, and then the players are shit, but then, you know, at some point 100% like we got to sack this manager. You know, I don't know how many managers is it going to take before people realize like we don't have a squad to play modern good football. That's going to take us somewhere. We are lucky this season to have Ipswich, Southampton, and Leicester. Just wait for next season. We will do nothing with Amorim, not even after a good transfer season. Amorim ain't EPL material. Well, I highly disagree with that. And if we have a good transfer window, and he gets a proper preseason, I think that we will actually have a decent season. I don't know how good it's going to be. I think it heavily depends on the transfers that we do, who leaves our club, who is still here, and who we get in. And yeah, I do believe that Ruben Amorim is a good manager. He did good things with Sporting. They were doing good in the Champions League. He was highly considered for many positions, Liverpool, Manchester City, etc., etc. He's young. He has some learning to do. He ain't perfect. He's going to make mistakes. He's going to get things wrong. He's not, you know, the finished package. He's not the total complete package, but he has a high potential, and he's a good young manager who understands modern football and has a unique system. So, yeah. X's, you say you don't care about this season. Why sack Erik ten Hag and risk having to sell Garnacho and Meno then? No. I mean, I don't care anymore. I mean, at one point it was kind of salvageable, but at this point, it's what it's become into. This season is pretty much useless in terms of the league. Like it's done. And you know, I don't understand what, you know, sacking Erik ten Hag and risk having to sell Garnacho and Meno. That's I don't even think those are two of the same things. I mean, listen, they sacked ten Hag. That's their mistake. They could have got rid of him in the summer if they really didn't trust him, which clearly they fucking didn't, because they only gave him till November. So that goes on them. They hired Ashworth. They sacked Ashworth. They lose money there. That goes on them once again. And having to sell somebody like Garnacho and Meno is not because we necessarily sacked the manager. It's because the Glazers fucking took all our money, and Ineos are helping them. And instead of trying to get the financials right, they're just going to take the easy route and sell a youth player for pure profit to balance off all the books, which we shouldn't be in. So, Rosen says current players needs to be sold to bring in players who can play the 3-4-3 system. And it doesn't even have to be. See, here's the thing. Like, people say 3-4-3 system. 3-4-3 is a formation. This system is this set of a system is a set of instructions. It's like a manual of how you play. So do you play high line? Do you play quick 1-2 passes, attacking? Do you play direct? Do you pass the ball sideways? Do you pass it backwards? Do you retain possession? Like, these are instructions. It's like a manual of how to play it. right? So it's not even about people that can play the 3-4-3 system in that manner, but it's more of just people that can have the qualities that we can that benefit what we need in the instructions. Like you need to have things like Ahmad. You have to have pace. You have to have work rate. You have to have a good characteristics, ability, mentality, also with skill. He was our top goal scorer. We need more players like him. He can clearly play it. He was playing in a 4-2-3-1 before. He played in Rude's thing. He did good. It started there. It carried over to Ruben Amorim, and Ruben Amorim's formation and his system. Obviously, he's out for the rest of the season. We lost him. We don't have enough players like Diallo in other positions as well, all around there, and that is the major problem. All problems came from the owners and Eric Ten Hag, but Man United fans don't accept that. I mean, too many. I think they do, Rosen. I think they do accept it. I just think what happens is that a lot of people feel very powerless against the Glazers and Indios. I feel like what happens is, and I think the Glazers play into this with the narrative through social media and the media itself and what they do and the manipulation that they do is everybody knows what the Glazers have done. Everybody has accepted it. Everybody knows it's a thing. But everybody feels hopeless of getting actual real change, which is getting them removed and getting them to sell the club. But what happens is people will bang on about the Glazers. They did this, they did that, and blah blah blah, but they only do it for a short period of time because them banging on about it, they feel and know in their heart that, whether they get 10 people, 10,000 people, or 10 million people to agree with them and support them, it's not going to get the Glazers to sell the club. But they then shift their mentality to the manager or players, specifically, one, more so the manager, because they feel like the more angry they can get about a manager, the more that they can go express this idea to other people and get them to be angry about the manager. Well, if you get enough people to be angry at the manager and hate the manager, eventually the manager will lose the support of the majority of the fans. They will also lose the support of the players, which gives the excuse of the club to sack them, which the Glazers use so that they can be like, all the narrative goes to the manager. It was that manager's fault. Everybody's focusing on the manager. Then they focus on the new manager and what the new manager is going to do and how the new manager is going to change things. And it's never really going to actually change because the bigger things above the manager hasn't actually been addressed and hasn't actually changed. And this is what happens. Like, I feel like people get all caught up in the manager. Or they get all caught up on one specific player, like a Rashford or like a Bruno, because they feel like if they put out enough hate towards that person and they get enough people to back in what they're saying, then they can affect the change because the club will sell that player or the club will fire that manager. But you will not get the Glazers removed. So people just give up on focusing the effort that they should be on the Glazers, and they go all in on the manager because they know the manager is sackable. The manager has been sacked before, so it's easy. Yeah, Amorim is not a roadblock in the revolution. I don't know what you're talking about. Literally makes zero sense. Gray says, hold that Rashford FC fans, you bunch of morons. Axe says, Rude understands United 100 times better than Amorim. He had a culture shock at the beginning. At least we had a manager bounce back with Rude. Yeah, maybe, but, how sustainable was that? I don't know. Eric, are we still going live later? You on a rant now? Yes, we are. Don't worry about it. Like 2.5 hours. Eric is angry. His hair is sticking up. My hair is a mess. Full time, Arsenal have lost 0-1 to West Ham. Bournemouth have lost 0-1 to Wolves. Fulham have lost 0 to Palace 2. Ipswich Town 1, Spurs 4, which is a bad result for us. And Southampton 0, Brighton 4. All the away teams have won today. Not a single home team has won today. That is absolutely Crazy and insane. But listen, this show has gone on way longer than it was supposed to be. I was supposed to get out of here an hour ago. I'm gonna get off. We'll come back. We'll discuss some topical news stuff a little bit later, probably in about 3 hours from now. I'll schedule a show and we'll talk. I gotta go take care of some things. And yeah, we'll speak very, very soon. So I'll see you guys in a couple hours if you're gonna be around and join. I gotta go. Well, I gotta eat something. I gotta continue packing because I leave tomorrow at 5 p.m. So I gotta get a move on that and stuff like that. So I'll be back in a little bit. 3 hours from now, about. We'll do another show. We'll do some topical stuff. We'll kind of forget a little bit about the match, but more just general topic. But thank you everybody for stopping by, for getting involved, for liking the show and stuff like that. So we'll speak a little bit later. Until then, take care, be good, and if you want to get in the comments once I end the show, go right ahead, leave whatever comments you want. Yeah, that would be great. Thank you guys.